Okay, so here we go with the last lesson. We're going to be talking about subtracting fractions. Very similar to adding fractions. So starting with subtracting fractions with like denominators, evaluate x minus y when x equals 3/5 and y equals -4/5. So x minus y. Show our substitution first. So 3/5 minus a -4/5. Think about this just like we did our integers. Instead of subtracting on this one, I want to add the opposite. So we are adding instead of subtracting, and our 4 was negative, now it's positive. We have like denominators, so we can add just like we did in the last section. So 3 plus 4 gives us 7/5. And just like every other lesson in this chapter, we don't want to leave them improper. So 5 goes into 7 once, remainder of 2. So 1 2/5. Now, trickier obviously is when we are subtracting fractions with unlike denominators. So 3/8 minus 3/4. Always check again, can I change my smaller denominator into my larger? 4 times 2 is 8, so I'm going to multiply denominator by 2, not 3, and numerator. So 3/8 is going to stay the same, minus 6/8, because again, 6/8 and 3/4 are the same fraction. We're going to change it to addition, so 3/8 plus -6/8, and 3 plus -6 would give us a -3/8 as our final answer. Then we've got 3/4 minus 8/9. I can't change a 4 into a 9. I don't see anything quickly that I could change both of them into, so this time we're going to do, just going to multiply across basically. Since my denominator is 4 here, I'm going to multiply numerator and denominator by 4. Since my denominator here is 9, we're going to come over here, on this side, multiply numerator and denominator by 9. So 9 and 3 gives us 27. 9 and 4 is 36. Going to go ahead and do 2 steps at once here, so change this to addition, change that to a negative. So -8 times 4 is a -32 over 36. So 27 plus -32 would give us a -5 over 36. I know we didn't leave you much space for a lot of these problems, so make sure you are squeezing in everything. Okay, so there's a couple examples of adding, or subtracting rather, fractions with like and unlike denominators by changing them into addition problems. Which brings us to, what is the sum of -3 and 5/6 plus 2/3? So just a little review of addition, working with negatives and positives. So 6 times 3 is 18, plus 5 will give us 23 over 6, and it was negative. That's why this problem is in here, because it is a negative. And because I wanted you guys to see more examples of changing a negative mixed number into an improper fraction. Okay, so plus 2/3, and see we have unlike denominators, but lucky for us, I can quickly change a 3 into a 6 by multiplying numerator and denominator by 2. Gives us -23 over 6 plus 4 over 6. I have negatives, I have positives, that means I'm subtracting. So 23 minus 4 gives us 19. I had more negatives. So -19 over 6. 6 goes into 19 3 times, so -3. Remainder of 1. So -3 and 1/6. Right, word problem to do together. Juliana bought a container of licorice. She gave 2/5 of the licorice to her friend, 2/10 to her sister, and she kept the rest for herself. What fraction of the licorice did she keep for herself? Write an equation to represent this situation, then solve the equation. Show all work. So this sounds like something that could turn into a lovely test question. So she gave away. How much did she give away? We're going to think about what we know and turn it into an equation, meaning we must have an equal sign. So she gave away 2/5, and she gave away 2/10. So that's how much she gave away. I know I'm going to need to add those pieces together. 2/5 plus 2/10. They're by themselves, so I'm going to put them in parentheses. Now she kept the rest for herself, so how much did she keep for herself? Well, if I took away, meaning subtract, 2/5 and 2/10 from the whole, we represent our whole with a 1. So whole container, she gave away 2/5, she gave away 2/10. Now I want it to be an equation, so equals, and we're going to go with good old x. There's our equation. Now we have to solve it. So 2/5, 2/10. I'm warning you now, you're going to have to squeeze stuff in. We're probably going to be following some errors again. I can quickly turn a 5 into a 10. So times 2 times 2. So 1 minus 4/10 plus 2/10 equals x. We bring it up here then. I know that I'm going to have tenths here, so I'm going to change my 1 so that it has a tenth value as well. So 10 over 10 would be the same as 1, minus 4/10 plus 2/10 is 6/10, still equals x. We haven't done anything with that side yet. We're going to go ahead and subtract. We do not have to change this one into addition problem because 10 minus 6 gives us a positive value. So 10 minus 6 is 4/10 equals x, but of course we reduce to 2/5. So she kept 2/5 of the container. For herself. Okay, so a couple now you tries, and we are done with chapter 3. So first one, just subtracting some fractions with like denominators. Make sure you show your work, make sure you're watching out for your signs. And then we have the inseam of Juan's pants is 34 1/4 inches. If he has them shortened by 2 7/8 inches, what is the new length? So shortened, meaning he is taking length away, so subtraction. And that is the end of this lesson and end of chapter 3.